and then I do my first pass on lighting. So the light is coming from upper right, so it's gonna hit this tail most likely first because this is in bending towards the camera, bending towards the light source. Where's my layer? Let's put that in there. Right. So I'm gonna put a little highlight pop here, right? And then I'm gonna do a secondary pop of light here because we got a light that hits here and a light that hits here. So I want these two areas to pop. Again, part of it is somewhat realistic, part of it also for entertainment values. At the end of the day, we're trying to sell a design. We're trying to sell how cool this thing could be and how we could light it in a film or video game. So we want features such as the face and majority of the design to sort of read well in a painting. Okay. Now, once the values are established, see black and white, I could add the second or third level details. As you can see here, we kind of add these in. Nothing too major. And from there, I add another layer of light. So here, I'm starting to introduce the texture I want. I want to capture that fly. If you ever look at the abdomen of a fly, it's got this kind of weird green, purple, cyan kind of color going on in there. Very cool type of material. It's almost like body armor. So I try to emulate a little bit in this painting here. Again, more level of detail. Let me turn some of these layers off. Here I color tinted it slightly. I want the front to go a little bit more greenish or a little bit different color than the tail. So this has this kind of separation. Again, kind of borrowing the color scheme from a common housefly. Okay. Here I just added some dots. Because this painting was done for tutorial, I'm trying to teach a bunch of things at the same time. So what I'm doing here is actually trying to teach students how to make your designs, different ways to make it read across the board. So in this case, we've got a very long shape that kind of goes across the screen here. And we want the user's eye to kind of go across it. So we have one way to do it, and also this shape is made out of this, right? It's got a lot of cut lines like this. So the tendency is to make the eye read this way. So what we want to do is we want to make the eyes to also go this way, so you create some contrasting shapes. And using these kind of bioluminescence dots, right, it brings the viewer's eye across the creature, like this way, going this way, right? Which makes a nice read, and it also contracts the shape here very, very nicely. Okay, and also it points everything this way, so it creates a nice flow. This whole composition has this nice flow to make it go forward. This guy's going forward. In entertainment, especially on films, it's quite important to know which way is front and which way is back, so the audience know quickly, oh, that's the head, therefore it's going this way. So they don't have any kind of misunderstanding of a read, meaning that if a spaceship or a vehicle is going a certain direction, you want them to know very quickly which way it's going, and also probably which side it's on. So is it a bad guy, good guy, which way is it going, right? Just to kind of clarify the story. Here I add another level of lighting. Here we start to bring in the highlights. We start to bring in some pure whites. So in here, we're starting to get quite close, you see, to pure white. Not yet there, but very, very close. You can see the selector here bouncing around. Nothing is hitting this 255 exactly, but very, very close. Okay, so it's quite bright. And I'll also lighten up his eye section here. Okay, let's zoom out here. And this is something I added to want to put in, this kind of glowy stuff, because this butt area kind of reminds me of mosquitoes back area. And let's just make it pop out by adding some color, because this does work without it. So if I turn on the previous layers, you can see here, it does read okay if I zoom out without the red glow. But I just want to make it more entertaining, make it look like there's something going on here. So maybe it's filled with gas, and this gas is some reacting to the environment, so it turns red, and it could be some kind of signal device somewhere not. And also just makes the painting have a focal point. So if you zoom out here, the first thing the viewer is going to see is this area here where the red and orange glow happens. And also as a designer, I'm trying to make these make sense, even though I'm coming up with these on the fly when I teach these without any kind of pre-planning really. I still try to make the design somewhat believable. So in this case, let me just draw another drawing here. A side view of this warm creature will look maybe something like this, right? The tail. It's got its little horns, eyes, it's kind of like a shrimp thing here, right? So the idea was, in my own head, I guess, when I was sketching this, that when it's in lower atmosphere, or it kind of wants to drop lower, it kind of seals up these kind of plates around his body that you see here. Right? So if he ever wants to go higher, what it does, it kind of expands out these plates like so. And maybe releasing some sort of gas or letting the gas expand. So its body compensates for that by expanding these panels, therefore allowing this creature to have a lift going upwards. It sort of makes sense visually. It makes sense in a way, and that's good in the kind of work we do. Is that visually we could tell this creature has some kind of change in his body when it's going up and down, right? And it's great for animation. It's great for storytelling, and also you could add this in some kind of plot line. Maybe the hero could throw a grenade in there, and it seals up and it blows up. Something like that. It opens up possibilities for ideas, and for the audience, it gives them something cool to look at, and in a way, somewhat believable design, right? Okay. So here I add some micro strains on top. Little details to say that when it's opened up, there's some stuff still on the outside of the skin, so it's not completely exposed to the elements. And here I add some atmosphere to kind of push the values of the head area back. You can see here it's getting quite dark, and this head is further from me than this tail. So these two values I don't want to share. You see if we turn to black and white here. Right now the head actually has a very dark value, so I pull back. So it actually looks like the head is in front of the camera versus the tail. By putting an atmosphere in here, I push the head back into the distance. And this last layer is just some very, very small hair and micro details. Right. This painting is quite low res, but it's higher than the other ones I've done. Usually in class, I do a very short, very rough painting, usually about 1,000 to 1,400 pixels wide. This one I doubled it to 2,800 pixels. So if I did an image size, you can see here, it's 2,800. For my more finished paintings, I generally go to about 4,000, 5,000 pixels. So this one's considered still quite low, but enough details allow me to zoom in here and add microscopic things. So let me just start a new layer here. So you can see here, but zooming in is great because it kind of, you don't need to kind of squint your eyes to do these details, unlike traditional paintings where you have to go in and kind of squint around. So this way I could just add these details as I please, borrowing from the local values, right? Just like that. Okay, let me pause Camtasia here and start another session.